It is 1985, and the game just starts. It is 1985, and it is the game I have been waiting for. Paul Woke's first game was Encounter, a Battlezone clone. But this new game, which has made cheeky appearances in magazines for months, showing off vector graphics and promising a whole 3D world to explore, is here. You're aboard the Pristemium with Benson, your friendly AI, and something has gone wrong. You are headed for the Gamma system, but there is a problem, and your ship plummets out of control, heading straight for a planet called Tard. The planet is coming to greet me, and I am looking forward to what lies below. This is what I have been waiting for. Is it worth the wait? This is Encounter. This is where we first heard about Paul Wokes. And it's basically a Battlezone clone. But it's very colourful. We have no vector graphics. And basically, it's frozen on me. There we go. Right. So it's using a form of raster graphics. So you've got everything is symmetrical. So you don't have to worry about things being on the wrong side. And there's always these horrible missiles. Whoa, I'm backed into against a pillar here. Let's move away from it. And it's a lot of fun. There's only one fly in the ointment, which I will show you when I get rid of the last one of these. Oh, come on. Come back to me. So you have this portal, which you've got to get into before the time runs out. There we go. And then avoid all the spheres. I think I hate this bit most of all about this game. If you hit any spheres, the level has to be done again with all the enemies and no fresh shields. Good grief. And it's just, it's kind of very great, you know, graphical effect for the time, but it's very frustrating. But it's a lot of fun, this game, and the enemies get more and more devious. They shoot in different ways, they move about constantly. There we go, we got triple shooters on the second level. And then we had all this stuff hinted in the magazines. So let's go back to Mercenary. Right. I think we might have lost the sound again. Let's just start that again. It's been constantly playing up every time I stop and start it and mess around with it. It doesn't want me to do it. Let me just skip the introduction. Here we go. We'll do the crash again. So I'll just say that Kay Sheely says couldn't believe that Encounter was from 1985. So you're now on Targ. That's your crashed ship. I always thought it was just some weird building. State of war between the Palyars and Mechanoids. Palyar is, of course, an acronym of player. Location: the airbase. Aircraft on pad. Which it helpfully tells you is a Dominion Dart. Craft for sale. 5,000 credits. How much do we have? We do have 9,000 credits. Do you want to buy? You don't have to buy. There are 3 options at this point. You can buy it. You can not buy it and walk everywhere. Alternatively, you can decide to just steal it. If you steal it, you get attacked, and the Palyas will not tell you about a job offer. So I'm going to buy it. It speeds things along quite nicely. It's nice having Benson to talk to, but he doesn't talk very much, not as much as you think he's going to. So you can get on board this ship and just take off. That's looking up into the sky there. And here is the city. So they were quick off the mark. Palyas tell me about a job offer. So they want me to go to a particular location. If you don't write that location down, well, that's the end of that. So when I first played, we didn't note down the location. And as a result, we spent forever just walking around the actual city, which is interesting because that was interesting in itself. So you can just fly around, and typically, you know, how do you make an open world on 8-bit computers? Well, within every grid reference, you make just one building. And so here you've got this one, which you can see from a distance for some reason, which will become clear shortly. And so this building here will disappear if we move out of the grid reference, and the next one will appear. There we go, there's the next one. And so, that's what I thought. This isn't actually the original Mercenary code. This is something called MDD Clone, which is a great emulator of the original Mercenary series, all three of them. And there are these buildings in every grid reference, and that's how it gets away with this sort of open world. Basically lots of nothing. It's really big, and it could take you forever to actually walk anywhere. There we go. That's a Commodore sign. And if I want to, I can shoot it. I was a fan of Atari, not Commodore. So, good show. This is obviously the Atari version, which celebrates the fact that you shoot the Commodore sign. It was the other way around if you were on a Commodore machine. So one thing you should already detect is that there's a bit of humor in the game, which, you know, the author is really, it's like it's skin deep. This game, you've got the author inside it, just leering out at you all the time. So here we've got a building here, and actually beside this building, sorry, it's very easy to crash. It's easier to crash than actually try and land. So we've got a building here. Now, I would wander around the city for ages, explore these buildings. Nothing happens if you enter them, of course. I mean, they are just simply wireframe boxes. I think there was some explanation in the instructions about why you could do this to physical buildings, but it didn't really matter. We were quite happy to put up with all the shortcomings for what we would get right now, which was a lot more than we expected. So this giant thing beside the building looks a bit like a car, and that is because it is a car. And we can drive around as much as we want using this car. Cars are slower, and to be honest, it's a bit more difficult to see where you're going. But that's the reason why we can see this spot from a distance, because there's something here. And so it becomes your first touchstone in the game. If you want to remember where something is, drop an object. You'll be able to see it from space. So let's get back to our ship and continue exploring. Incidentally, this location is called Jordan Airport, which is named after one of the guys in the Novagen team. Let me just check this. Yep. Okay, so we've got yeah, the Novagen was made up of 3 people effectively. We had Paul Wokes, great grand designer, who sadly left us last year, Bruce Jordan, and also Mo Warden, who was doing a lot of the graphical work. So that was Jordan Airport, and the only way you can find out it's called Jordan Airport is basically by blowing it up, which is ultimately quite sad. Let me go straight into the air. We'll look up, and you'll see there is something up there. Let me go very fast, and my altitude is rising. Can I get to the strange dot in the sky? Very alluring. You see it, you just want to go there. Of course, if you've read enough reviews, you'll know exactly what it is. It's the Palya colony craft. Apparently it's where they all hide out because there's a state of war on the planet between the Palyas who lived here and the Mechanoids who have invaded, but there's a stalemate in the war, and that's why you don't see anything going on. But you'll notice the altitude is getting slower and slower. This is actually at 65,000. This ship is not strong enough to make it that high up. I tried. I really tried. But eventually, it just, like, you just don't make any more altitude. But at this height, you get a good view of the city grid. And as you can see, the planet stretches into the distance. Just black, empty green, blank green. Except for the occasional dot. Again, drawing you out into the mysteries of beyond. But there's another dot looming in the city. And these are the kind of things you go after immediately. What is the dot? And the dot is quite surprising the first time you play it. And you'll go, what? There's another plane? It's about to disappear. It loops across the side of the city, this edge of the city. It just disappears at the edge and reappears the other side. And I'll turn up now. Here we go. It's another Dominion dart. There we go. It's gone overhead. There it goes. You can shoot it down, and it turns out to be the Palya brother-in-law's, the Palya commander's brother-in-law's ship. And that's the kind of running joke, that everything in this, everything bad that you do affects the Palya commander's brother-in-law. You can take everything out of his room in the colony craft. You can blow up his house. You can shoot down his ship. And you can also actually, after you've played a while, you can actually steal the ship while it's flying. But only when you know how. And that's the great thing about Mercenary. There are a lot of little functional mysteries in the game. Because as I'll show you, it basically reduces into a very simple type of game. Initially, you don't know what's going on. There's some instructions. But, you know, it's just very quickly, once you've got the hang of the game, it reduces to a very simple set of rules. As I said, when I was first playing, I didn't know what the hell was going on, and I would just simply walk around from building to building. Well, I would stop, walk around a building, and hopefully think maybe it would do something. So, but none of them ever did anything. I think, oh, maybe this is the interesting one. Maybe that's the important one. I always thought this looked like a bed. For some, to be honest, it was a bed, but it's just some sort of canopy over the crossroads. And so you can see some repetitions, but there are a great many number of unique buildings. So this is always one of my ultimate disappointments. I guess I realized that, you know, what this game was really going to be like. This is one of the iconic images of Mercenary, which is the bridge. And there's plenty of bridges in this city. So, and I was really thought, oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's a bridge. I'm going to get out and I'm going to walk over it. But it's just a wireframe. Remember the kind of like, oh, okay. Well, I guess that's fine. So that was my first early disappointment, but it still gives it a sense of place. And it was always fun just to wander around and see what kind of buildings you could find. I wonder if this is anything. Let's try and shoot it down. Oh, a mechanoid ship is attacking. Right, there's a mechanoid ship flying around out there somewhere now. Oh, an Atari sign. Let's not shoot that one down. Come on, where's this mechanoid ship? Now, if there's one thing you learn pretty quickly, that it is not fun engaging in ship combat. It's just, this game isn't designed for it. And the best thing to do is to fly backwards at some speed. And that gives you the best chance of hitting any attacking ship. But it's not really fun. It's not what this game is about. Oops, I need to... The easiest thing to do is like shoot you. Land and let it blow you up. You cannot die in this game. Oh, was I too close to my ship? Ah, they shot the ship. Right, you can do a quit and recover a ship like that. This game is not that unfair, although it has some aspects, as we'll make clear later. I think it's time I made an appearance. So, you can only find out the names of places by actually blowing stuff up. And I think this is Bosch's Stadium, again named after one of the guys in Novagen. Let's blow this one up, it should tell us. You've just destroyed Bosch's Stadium. And it's kind of sad that the only way to learn anything about this planet is to blow it up. There's a paleo ship attacking. See the dot in the distance. There it comes, yeah. We'll fly backwards, pressing shift and the speed. Can I actually take it out? This is a demonstration of how little fun it is. Here we go. And once it's destroyed, that'll be the end of it. They won't send another one out. So you can actually go out into the wilderness. Then I originally thought there was nothing out there. I thought there was nothing out there in the wilderness. Here's the city. There's a white dot. So there's obviously something out there. Now the number has gone negative. The grid coordinates for the city are 0 to 15 in both dimensions. But now we're flying outside the city with negative coordinates. Red, 29, 30, 31, still going up, still going up. What is this? And he crashes for the best landing ever. And I have absolutely no idea what this is. Actually, I think I'm walking too slowly. I think I'll just get back in the ship. It's basically, it's a kind of a drill shape, and I've never really figured out if it has any particular meaning or function or why it's here. So let's take off again. Is there anything else out here? You know there is. You know there's something else out here. But what is it? Can we find any other dots in the vicinity? The great thing about out here in the wilderness, am I just going back to what I just saw? That's always the danger out here. The great thing is that the design, Paul Wilkes has obviously made sure you can see these dots from distance. You can see these from a distance, so that you don't have to just wander the endless black hoping in the air. Yes, yes, yes. That's just back again. Let's go up into the air. Speed up. Right. So there's the dot I'm flying around. Is there anything else? Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get faster. Now we're into negative coordinates in both directions. Now, Salty Horse has just suggested it's a rocket ship, but part of this game is the goal of this game is to get off the planet. So immediately, yes, I thought it's the rocket ship I need to get off the planet, but it doesn't do anything like that. There is a pyramid in the middle of nowhere, and it's this kind of drip feeding of slow mysteries that you keep on finding weird things here and there with no explanation. Just it makes you just your mind is constantly trying to plot out what does all this mean? Is there a function here? You're still at those days where developers would do things and you'd always assume it had a meaning or a function. So, oh, I'm sure this pyramid must do something in the middle of nowhere. Except I think if I remember rightly, it's part of a special object if you know how to cheat, but it doesn't actually, it's not like a big building you can do something with. Now, are there any more dots? Let's just keep on going. Oh, come on. What is this other dot? This is my bread and butter. This is where I learned to be an explorer in games. Just like random dots. And now we've gone beyond coordinates. We're into star. Do you know how that feels? How mysterious that feels? In the middle of nowhere. Furthest point from the city. Where's that gone? Is that the dot? No, there we are. This is somewhat more interesting. Now, someone who hasn't played the game yet may not recognize what this is. Let me leave the ship. This is an elevator, and that can take you underground. So, deep in the wilderness, there's a lift that takes you under the ground, and here you find another ship. What else can you find? Well, there's a single door. Where does this take us? And you can imagine playing this the first time, like, what's in here? What? I want to find out more, And it's a big exploring game. It's not about shooting at all, even though there's shooting in it. It's just the shooting is pathetic. You shouldn't even bother. So you can pick this up, something called Winchester. I still don't know what that means. I know what it's for. And then there's another funny shaped door. This one's a bit like an upside down trapezium. Or is that just a trapezium? An upside down trapezium is a trapezium, right? And it's locked. So the funny shaped door is locked. So here we are, middle of nowhere, and a locked door. I don't know if you can imagine how that felt. There wasn't anything else really out there like this where you could just go around and explore a world. Yes, it's a very sparse world, but it's a step up from no world. So, well, we'll have to come back when we can find out how to unlock that door. Let's take the ship. It's at hangar. A hangar is the name for the room at the base of an elevator. So, if you're ever wandering around and you wander into a room called hangar, you know that it's a lift, because that can happen. So let's get on board and take off. Well, we have to leave first. Take the elevator. Talking too quickly. Take the elevator up. We'll just leave this ship here. This is a much faster ship. Really quite impressive. So you don't want to get any of the special ships destroyed because they won't come back. Whereas, like in my testing yesterday, I accidentally blew this ship up. Let's get back to the city. All you have to do is follow the great dot in the sky. There we go. We'll be there in no time. And I think it's time to conduct our business and find out what's going on. So you were told to go to an 0906. Right. Let me try and figure out the compass. I always have trouble with the compass. It's actually, you can see it's just counting there, all the way up to 360, not to 360. But on the original Atari version, it had coloured sections, red, blue, green, something like that, which would tell you which direction you were headed. And that was no good for me, because I was playing on a black and white television. That tells you how old this was. Right, 9, 10, 10, 10. Okay, let's see. It's 876. So it should be over there. It's 9. No, 906. Right. Okay, let's just gracefully land once more and go to where we were summoned by the Palyars. And I don't know if you can tell now, but white noise of the ship fried ancient speakers. They just died. Oh my gosh. I hope. Well, I can still hear what's going on here. Right. So we're now in another underground complex, and you can actually see here that the game. Now you can actually maybe understand the game is actually two different games, which are sort of tied together. One is the outdoor one, which is flying around in space, and the other one is in these underground complexes, a 3D maze game, basically a bunch of 3D mazes with objects in them. Now, so you can find all sorts of things. This is there are different types of objects. There's essentially three types of objects. One is just they have no function. They don't even have a name. There are objects which are worth something, and there are objects which have slight functional purpose. So this provides you with sights if you like that sort of thing, if you find that to be useful for shooting enemies. This is an energy crystal, which you might need to sell. Remember, you are a mercenary. That is your job. You are hired for work. You were supposed to be going to Gamma 5 for something, but you've ended up here. And you're going to do here what you always do, which is to sell your services. The reviews, not the reviews, the kind of PR, the blurbs, made much of the fact that there was intrigue and you could, which side you're going to play for, the mechanoids or the Palyars. And there's another thing, a skeleton, obviously gave the game away, a spider web, which you can't pick up or do anything with. So I always looked at the end of this corridor thinking, is there something at the end of this corridor? Is that important? This game would do that to me like all the time, because it's just so, its feedback is very minimal. It doesn't really want to, I'm back in the hangar. It doesn't really want to tell you too much. It's all there to work out. Walking around is a little bit slow at times though. And there's an enormously long corridor around here somewhere, which I'm not going to walk down. Oh, another funny door. Also locked. So already it's tantalizing you. I got these places I could visit. And what are they going to have in there? Probably stuff. Right, so let's have a look in this room here. Nothing. And then we have some interesting stuff. Medical supplies. I know this. Could come in handy. And a door with a cross on it. What does that mean? A room that glows. And you are suddenly somewhere else. So that's obviously a teleporter. Now, there are actually also, you'll see doors with one line on them. We'll probably pass a few later on. And the doors with one line on are actually one-way transporters. So they're always a bit of a gamble. Photon emitter. In other words, light source. There are dark rooms, but now we've got that, we'll be fine. Triangular doors, have a guess? Indeed, they are locked. So we don't even know where we are. We've teleported somewhere else. So let's hopefully go back. And that is the same same room we were in earlier. Okay, so let's keep on moving along. Still haven't found any job offer. think that was the corridor we came up. It's very easy to get lost. Right, so what's going on here? Another room. Okay, so this is the really long corridor, and just don't go down here. It basically walks you all the way to the next location. So you're in 0906, it'll walk you all the way to 0905. It takes a really long time, and I think there's a door in the middle of it, like a one-way teleporter in the middle of it, where you get dumped, if I remember. It's that kind of thing. So there's another two-way teleporter there. I'm just going to avoid that because, you know, we're going to go around for ages otherwise. Right, so hang on, was there anything else at the other end of that corridor? No, that was the end of the corridor. Let's work our way down. The controls are a bit funny. I always find it a little bit weird, like you kind of have to walk right into a door, and it feels like when you touch the wall, it wants to push you around. Okay, this looks like a hangar. It's quite large, but it isn't. Now, so we came through there, and there's a locked door, and there's only one other door on the other side here. So what's beyond this door? Just more giant rooms. So let's see. So, you know, you can keep on. I got lost for ages. Once I hit the underground properly. Aha. That is... That's a cough. That object doesn't give you a name. And in fact, it is the key to those trapezium doors. And yes, every time you have a door of a different shape, you need a particular shaped key to match. And so once you've got that one, you're like, wow, okay, I can start opening doors. And then I started going through transporters, and there's also somewhere there is a room which is full of transporters, like this transporter hub. And you can just like go like everywhere, and I spent so much time just getting lost. And every now and then there are also unreliable teleporters which don't take you to the same place when you go into them multiple times. And so I went in them, come out somewhere random, and then come out, and then like, well, what was that place? I remember jumping into a place we had a hexagon and a pentagon door, and I'd never seen those doors before. And you're like, where is that? Where is that? And so it's constantly throwing up like these surprises at you. So there's a one way, which I'm not going to go into. Where's this go? Boy, really getting lost now. Okay, so... Bank. 4,000 credits. That's very good of the bank to tell us. And let's go in this room. Finally. The briefing room. So, they want you to... And there's one more thing, isn't there? They want you to win the war. Very special gratitude. So there are... The point of the game is to leave the planet. That's the eventual goal. And there's 3 different ways of doing it. And they all involve you carrying out quests of some sort, or basically just exploring hard enough. Now, so they want you to take supplies up to the colony craft, which is where the Palias are hiding out. And that's becomes the main focus of the game. It's like a fetch quest. You're just trying to work out how to take stuff from one place to another. You're finding objects and selling them. Now, the mechanoids are also want to, you know, take some of these supplies away from the Palias, and it's much easier to hit the mechanoids because their base is all underground, so you can sell to them straight away. Palia colony craft way up in the sky, and it's really hard to reach there. You can't reach there initially, and There you go. Grab a table and just dump it where you want. I'll just put that there. And so, but they also eventually want you to figure out how they want you to basically wipe out all the sites of the opposing team, and the mechanoids will want you to do the same thing too. So that's great, except you have no idea how you're going to do that. And if you just shoot randomly, you will not win because, oh, what's this? I know what it is. Catering supplies. You won't win because if you do that, they'll actually completely, they'll say you'll have to reverse the damage. You know, you'll go to, I don't even think they tell you. If you blow up some Palia sites and some mechanoid sites, the game knows you didn't know the difference. And so it will just say, look, you have to put reverse the damage out, and you will find out how to do that. But I never worked out when I first played how I was supposed to tell the difference between Palia sites and the mechanoid sites, which turns out is because I had a black and white television and the object you needed to distinguish between the two tells you in colors. So I could never pull that off. I didn't really fancy it either. You have to go around every grid square in the city. You know, 15 by 15 was that? Is that 225? And I really wasn't into doing that. But I did do it back in 2014 when I was writing about Mercenary last time. Right, let's come out. Because this ship, which I found in the middle of nowhere, actually has the power to reach the colony craft. And so when you finally realize you can reach the colony craft, it's like the excitement all over again. What am I going to find here? You know, how does this work? So you can see it's just rising up very fast now. 47, 53, 56. You ready to stop? 64. I think you saw something there. There we go. Hanging in the air, the colony craft. Now, it doesn't have many features. It has a door on the outside, which is curious, and it has a pad on top. And the thing is, for a moment, I've just got somebody saying, I'm going to say it's Puce-chan. If I get that wrong, I'm sorry. So they have fond memories of just wandering around without accomplishing very much. We've all spent a lot of time in the Mercenary Central City. So the thing is, so going back to the colony craft, it's so empty, right? Every building is insubstantial. You can't do anything with it. So what makes this different? And the moment where you go, oh my God, I can land on a wireframe building, the only one in the game. And it's 65,000, so we say feet in the air. So I can get out of my ship and walk around on a wireframe building this high up. And the kind of feeling of that is just like, wow. It's such a small thing, but you have to remember where we were in 1985. Now, I'm not going to do it, but if you walk off the edge, you will fall all the way down. I just need to find the elevator, which is the big square on top. Where was the square? It's very difficult to see. Wireframe graphics, not the best. Oh, okay, I guess I was in it. And then you have, you rush up here. It's amazing. You rush up here and like, oh, I can't wait to find out what's in the colony craft. You could be so excited, right? And then you turn and then you notice every door is locked. And it's a key you haven't seen yet. It's, I remember that moment. You might be lucky. You might have found the key first. But I was so cheesed off. Like, how can I do more exploring to find the key? And Inside, actually, if you want to know what that door is, it is one of the aspects of the game which is humorous. This is not a serious game. Do not take it seriously. It's meant as a bit of a jolly. In a sense, it's a very British game. Um, that door is on the inside. You'll notice when you're wandering around inside the colony craft, you'll notice that it will. There's one door with a skull and crossbones on it. You can't help but walk through the skull and crossbones door, and guess what? It happens to be the door on the outside of the colony craft, and you go plummeting 65,000 feet down to the ground. And it's basically the author having a joke at your expense. And there's so much of that in this game. 3 ways to finish the game. You can either buy your way off the planet, you can take out one of the sides, or you can simply find and steal a ship. And that's not that easy a task, actually. You've really got to do a whole lot of exploring to find the ship, get it working, and find some way of coming out through getting it out. Then you have to get some fuel for it as well. And so there's a ton of stuff you have to do. You basically have to really explore everything. And of course, I would have definitely done that. But I left the planet quite enriched as well. Now, I actually sent off for what was called the Targ Survival Kit. So let me see if I can just bring up a full view of me. There we go. Nice. And it's the right way around, but we may have lost sound in the game. So you got loads of cool stuff with this. You got all the different ships and things you could drive around in. There was a hint sheet with a bunch of information on it. I mean, it's thin, but there's a lot of information there, including a map of the the first area. And there's actually maps of all the complexes in here. So there's the colony craft broken down into exactly what was on board, and all the underground complexes. Excuse me. If I remember rightly, where does it say? I think there's something is actually mentioned as it's they can't show it, it's classified. But look, also there's that's the teleport room I was telling you about, called the switch room. Has like 6 teleporters, and when you come across that room, that's it. You're going to be down in the underground for like hours. Anyway, this is the best thing, which is the lovely enormous map. It shows you the names of all the locations that are named in the game, and perhaps the only really important thing is like the locations of some of the elevators, and it also has a small, very, very tiny, I mean, it's more about theme and making you feel like this is a real place. So there's descriptions of some of the locations. The Walton Monument by the architect of the central city, Walton. Did they give him 2 names? They call him Walton. But there's a little hint here. So down at the bottom here, I don't know if that's focusing. They show you all the ships, and you can see the interstellar ship at the bottom. That's your way off the planet. There's an interstellar ship there somewhere. But they also mention the Caspar Hanley Eagle 8 SE, which is a clue to the secret fast ship which can go all over go very high. Not the one I've just shown you, but this is actually even better. It's even faster moving around. And the clue is in the name. If you take the letters Caspar C, Hanley H, Eagle E, 8 SE, you write it out, it looks like cheese. There is cheese in the game, and apparently it doesn't seem to do anything unless you try to board it, and suddenly it's the best ship in the game. Pius Chan says that map's wonderful. I treasure this. I actually thought I'd lost it It turned up again just a few months ago, and I was really pleased. I hadn't seen the end of it. So that was the central. That's Mercenary, and Mercenary is it's like the beginning of a movement, the kind of an open world. Maybe we should go back to the game, get my face off the screen. Right. Let's see, do we get any sound? Oh, we do. Now, that was 1985, and I was just so taken by it, even though there's a lot of apparently meaningless wandering around. And after a while, you start to feel that there's nothing here. You know, the buildings are just backdrop. But they're too far apart to really feel like you're wandering around. Where like the modern games, you feel like you've got it's wonderful to explore and climb mountains and things like that. But everything in here is just so far apart, purely for performance reasons. And so, once you've unlocked Mercenary, once you've found all its objects and found the meaning of everything, and you're able to get off the planet in however many different ways you want to do, it feels like there's nothing left. You've devoured it, and it isn't good enough as a place to simply wander about and explore. You've done that already. You want to find things. It's not about appreciating the environment, although it's still kind of fun just to rush about in your ship. So then, 1 year later, they release a data disk called The Second City. And let me start that up. We're going to skip the introduction. So, The Second City, it looks different. That map looks different to me. I don't know about you. You may not be familiar with it enough yet, but it's definitely different to me. And it looks pretty much the same, except that the sky is pink here and the ground is red. So, I need to get moving. Let's get moving. I have a feeling I'm going to go over the 10:30 mark UK time. I'm going to go over the hour because I just want to show you a little bit of this and a bit more. So, this craft belonged to the Palya commander's brother-in-law. He's not too pleased. So that would happen in a normal game. So it's pretty much just everything's just reorganized. It's the same place, just everything moved around. And then you look into the sky and go, whoa, 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 whoa. There are now 2 different things to look at. So this ship isn't going to make it up there. We've already established that. However, when I was expecting 2 colony crafts to be up there, is actually just one of the dots, just an item. An important item, but it's just an item which happens to be floating in the air. So I was a bit disappointed. However, the big difference of the Second City is that it's hard, and it's not hard as in difficult puzzles or tricky to work out. It's simply those bits of the original game that were a bit mean, like you'd walk out of a door, it's gonna, you know, you'd fall out of the colony craft or something like that. I'm going to be attacked any second now. Yeah, those bits where you'd fall out. This game is about that, but to the max. The Second City, it says in the blurb that the Second City is full of the Palya commander's brother-in-law is in charge of the city, and he's put traps in place to catch you out. So yeah, thanks very much. and the entire game is just really mean. So let me find the first complex. So I've got a map here from a magazine, so I don't have to try and work everything out. I'm looking for location. I think it's 806. Is that right? 801. Yes, 801. Okay. Which way are we going? Wrong way. I need to probably go that way, I guess. Wrong way. It's over this way. Sorry, I'm no good at this compass. Don't expect me to change now. 801. 601. Oh, I can't even remember which direction I was going. Hello. Right, 801. There we go. Do my best landing. There we go. Straight into the ground. And let's go down. And down here is the Palia briefing room is down here. I'm not really bothered about that, but I just want to show you how this feels. So first of all, triangle doors. Now, the thing is, what you might be used to when you play Mercenary, you can feel there's a progression of the keys. And the first one you get is with that like trapezium shape, which I picked up. And then I think the next one up was the triangle. Triangle is usually, you know, quite something you get quite early on. And then there's also the key for the colony craft. And further along, eventually you get to the hexagon and pentagon and the ultimate, which is like the upside down trapezium, as I called it, which is actually a trapezium mathematically. But here, it's all messed around. And this triangular door is like the ultimate door. These doors are everywhere. And you can never find the triangular key. It tells you in instructions, they're the author's cheat room. So thanks very much. Where's the key? Well, if you manage to get inside, and there is a trick to do that, you'll find the triangular key is right inside. And there's billions of triangular doors in the room. So let's have a quick look around. And there's a particular reason why I want to do this, to show you how mean it is. Right, let me have a look at the map. Nice map. Hello, map. So if okay, I'll take this way. Okay, so there's a web. And behind it is a door, so it's, again, feels different. Another room. And there's a prison. So what I didn't show you in the original Mercenary, there is a prison, but it's marked with a skull and crossbones. So you go in there once and you think, okay, I get it. There's no way out. There's no door. And the prison wasn't marked in the second city. And that's what I mean by being unfair. There's no door out of here now, apart from the triangular door, which you will never be able to get out of. You will note that there are 2 dots, and I have no idea why that is. It used to drive me mad. I would follow around the walls thinking, are the dots a secret? Is that something that's supposed to be there? If I remember in the original game, there was 1 dot, and I'd be like, does the dot do something? And the things you would fixate on because there's nothing else in here. I mean, it's obvious. There's 2 dots there. They've got to be important, right? They're not in any other room. And that's unfair, right? You know that it's not the only prison. There's prisons everywhere. There's random teleporters which will every now and then will just drop you in a prison. And the only way to get out of prison is by pressing the quit key. And when you do that, at least in the original version of the game, any object you was carrying would be scattered across the entire city. And you'd have to go and find all the objects. Now, they all look like white dots from a distance, so you can find them easy enough. But oh my God, it was laborious. And that is an example of where this game gets really hard. It's just being cruel to you. There are also other aspects like whereas the first game they would tell you how much everything was, say, oh, I'll take that from you for like 10,000 credits, and the mechanoids might say 15,000, so you could sell to the highest bidder. In this game, they just say, will sell it to you for a fee, and they won't tell you how much it is. The only way to work out who is the best person to sell to is to try selling, reload, go to the other guys, try selling. It's just kind of bloody minded. There's also a maze, which is so large you need to like drop basically every object you're carrying in it. And all the rooms look identical. And there's also the colony craft has a weird, if I can remember correctly, it has a sort of like, it fools you. You're going around the same rooms, but you're not. You're actually going around a different set of rooms, and it's trying to make you confused. So it really does mess with space in a way that the first game didn't. So it's a very anti-chamber, if I'm gonna say. It's a bit of anti-chamber in this, where you go, it's not necessarily the way you come back. And that was the second city. I did actually finish it, and I don't really know if I want to play it again. But because it's very unfamiliar, it feels like it's kind of fresh. That I could really, get used to exploring the second city again, because I want to see more of it. But that's the second city. And we were told after the Mercenary to keep our saves because the sequel was coming. The sequel didn't turn up for 5 years. It took to 1990 to turn up. And I was so happy to discover it wasn't released on the Atari 8-bit. You had to have a 16-bit machine. I was so upset. And the only time I got to see it was to go over to a friend's house where he had an Amiga. And I got to see Mercenary 2. Today, I can still play it using the MDD clone. Let's switch to Damocles. Same sound effects. Consistency. So this time we're not going to go crashing into a planet. What version is this? This is the MDD clone, the latest version of MDD clone, which is from, I think it's from 2007, it hasn't been updated since then. So you can play this, Charlie's asking what version this is, and it's just the emulated version. So you can play this on Windows right now, just download for free, the MDD clone. So you get this lovely flyover, and you already noticed there's more than one planet, and on the planet there's more than one city, more or less. And oh god, look, the buildings are solid. Did you see that? That wasn't a wireframe. And I was having kittens watching. That's a tree. I was having kittens watching this, and it's like, wow, this game is like really full on. So the purpose of the game is to save the planet Eris. This was the original job you were traveling to the Gamma 5 system for. You were trying to come to Eris to save it from a comet, which is going to go plunging into the planet. And unfortunately, you've come so late because you crashed on target. It took a long time. We were expecting you months ago. So now you have 3 hours left. You'll notice there's a... oh, actually, my face is in the way. Let me move my face out the way. You'll notice there's a clock in the bottom right, counting down. That is how long you've got before the comet smashes into Eris. Okay, so I can leave. And I can head into the spaceport. They tell me there's a key in there for me. And I'm just like, I'm kind of drooling, when I saw this. It's like, oh my gosh, I had to deal with a very colorless world, really. Oh, look, the doors have thickness. I had to deal with a colorless world, and everything was wireframe, and nothing had any substance. Take. Oh yes, it's shift up. I have to press. There we go. It's the key to the limo. Want me to travel along the road. So let's get on board this. So we're just gonna, we're not gonna play this for a huge amount of time, but I just wanted to show you. Very fast, very good. It feels very familiar. Oh, trees. It feels like the same game in many ways. The same sound effects and the same wry humor. Okay, stop here. Let's get out. And this is the presidential, what was it? State or something? Right. State president, who I believe was called Margaret in honor of the Prime Minister of Great Britain at the time. Where is the Gamacles file? Oh, the room to the left of the entrance. Okay. Let's go and get that. There we go. On a table. Oh, and you can actually open it up. And you could look through it. Like, this is way more information than the other game gave me. And it's like, wow, it's talking to me. The game is talking to me. The comic Damocles is on a collision course with Eris. See chart for trajectory. Okay. So this turns out to be... See this here? This is actually a proper lift. It says G for ground. So press 1. You get another floor. Press 2. Another floor. And there's rooms up here and everything. And this is, looks like a bench. It is a bench. And I'm taking it with me. So the freedom to just pick up objects and do what the heck you like with them is just kind of fun. Now I can't remember, because I haven't really played Damocles. I still have it on my list of things I want to do before I die. But at some point they will let you know that you wouldn't guess this, but there's a basement if you press B. There we go. Basement. As promised. So, hidden rooms underneath the earth. Oh my goodness. Mystery check. Locked. Why is it locked? Hang on a second. Am I supposed to read a bit more of this thing? Alright, let's check it out. Plus or minus. Reward. Maybe I have to take the table. Yeah, let's do that. Let's take the table. Of course, it's a coffee table. I'm taking that with me too. Oh, hang on. Is that the sun or is that a comet? I think I'm supposed to get something else out of here. Can't remember. I think because I'm told to go down to the basement and I've completely forgotten why it hasn't asked me to go down to the basement. Let's go up to the top floor. I won't labour this too much longer. Man, really feel like I should have played this a bit more. Oh, finally. Thank you, State President. Yes, that's the explanation why there's no one on these planets. Another reason why there's no one around. A dead world. Please tell me this is open now. Yeah, let's go for that. Yes. Thank you. So if you don't say yes, you don't get into this room. So what is this? So it's already giving you instructions, like the other game told you go to the Pallia's briefing room. It's saying try the laboratory. We need this, right? Yes, your spacecraft key. Honestly, so if you don't say yes, you're not going to be able to fly around anywhere. Right, let's go back up and let's get going, because I want to show you space. Let's go to ground. Right. I have the same problem with doors, can you believe it, as in the original Mercenary. Right. Oh, come on, stop walking around the doors. Okay. Board. And I think I'm supposed to go that way. And of course, if you want to, you can just go and explore every building and go in there. I'm not going to bother. I just want to get going. So, key to the Eagle 8SE. And now, finally, take off. Actually, maybe you can use the original ship, right? Maybe use the original ship. You don't have to wait after this. So, you know, you can go flying anywhere. Just have a look around. And as you can see, we've got night and day. Stuff in the sky. If we go further, we go into over into sea. And honestly, when I'm playing this, you're getting my genuine excitement, because I haven't really, you know, I don't really have much knowledge of this game. I've kept myself kind of spoiler free, because I do intend to play this one day. And you get the little islands out here. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of like emptiness in the same way Mercenary had. Just because stuff is here doesn't mean stuff is here. Smaller ranges and full of little buildings. You go down. There you go. Buildings. There's buildings everywhere, but a lot of them look very, very, very similar. And when you go into them, they have like, you know, nothing in them. They're just like basic shapes. Copy and paste. So the planet feels, it's still empty in its own way. So let's take off. Let's go straight into space. Ah, you can see the comet. There it is. There's the comet. Where'd it go? Let me turn. There you go. You can see the comet. Let's go off into space stuff. Let's just go straight into space. Now, I was told that there's this actually, if I remember rightly, it models solar system celestial mechanics. So everything rotates and goes around like it should do, apparently. So you can see there's a bunch of planets. There's a lot more in a distance there. And what else can I see? That, I believe, is the comet. And remember, the tail of a comet is facing away from the sun. So that doesn't tell you where it's going. That just tells you that it's facing the sun. Now, something you might not be aware of, this is revealed to you, that if you travel through space, relativity effects are supposed to kick in, and time travels short time for you, but in reality it travels faster. So watch what happens when I speed off. The time is going down very fast. 57, 56. I'm losing minutes as we keep on traveling here. So I have just lost half an hour of time to save errors. So you're going to have to find some way of not, you know, wasting time in space. Some way of like fixing the relativity effects. Because if you start doing a lot of planet hopping, you're going to be like, you'll be dead in no time. Let's find a planet. find another planet before I run out of time. End the game. Oh my god, 2 hours. Not much time left. Okay. Pan. Let's just choose this random planet. Is there anything on it? Triton. So, there are plenty of things in the system, but is there anything actually on them? Pressure too high. Okay, I guess that's like Jupiter, so don't go there. And actually, I got on another planet. I landed, and it was like, oh my god, 45 minutes left. I think we're gonna watch Eris explode. All right, so there's the comet. Yeah. And oh dear. Whoops. So yeah, I think you can still fly around and stuff, but there's like not much pointed away. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to find in these planets, and there are actually 6 different solutions, I believe, to this game, as well as 3 in the original Mercenary. There were mission discs as well. For extra things to do in the game. I don't know much about those either. But then in 1992, 2 years later, they released the 3rd game, Mercenary 3, Dion Crisis, which starts like this. I love the fact that that's the same skeleton, same spider web. Congratulations on your patience. It's arrived. So this feels very much like Damocles, but it's not quite the same. And the major difference is the fact that you actually get to see people for the first time. It's been a call for you today. Mr. PC Bill invites you to call on him. That is actually Paliar Commander's brother-in-law. Let me just see if I can change the object I'm looking at. Yes, see that? That's cars actually speeding down the road as well. This place is a little more alive than the other 2 games. You can see the progression, right? First of all was the draft. The second game, okay, we can create a much more richer world and hell of a lot more freedom. Third game, let's make the world a little bit more alive. Press star to call a taxi. Right, I need to get the bus pass taxi card. I thought I was told to press start. Ah, there we go, press start to call. Where is it? Have I got a taxi? Or do I have to select the destination? Hang on. Oh, hang on, I heard something. There we go. Let's get in. A person? Select destination. Let's just go to the spaceport, and that's pretty much where we're going to go. Oh, what the heck happened there? Can we come out of that? Oh. Let's get back to the taxi card. Yeah, destination. And spaceport. Right, it's just remembering the keys. Unfamiliar with it. So, actually, the first game, you were a mercenary. There was a bit of shooting in it. The second game, you were trying to save a planet from destruction. And I don't think... You could shoot, but I don't think the shooting did anything. You couldn't blow buildings up anymore. And this final game, it's not about violence at all. It's about politics. Um, it's about um, running against PC bill in an election, I believe. And it's just unbelievable that this is, whereas most other open world games um, have gone down the route of you need to shoot stuff and blow stuff up for something interesting to happen. This game says, okay, well, let's talk about politics instead. And I'm sure there's a lot of fetch quests and stuff like that, but it's just this is where the Mercenary series went. And then we got a ship, and it's just unbelievable that this is not where we went with open world games. I still find this unbelievable that this is kind of like these kind of games just died on the vine. And I mean, the thing is, I still have this to play, so I still have this to explore, and I'm sure the slowness will bother me a bit because it's an old game. But I can't believe that this is where it kind of ended. I feel like some of it is coming back in some newer games. You play something like Subnautica. It's trying to get away from violence, but it still is about constant threat. Whereas this isn't really about threat, not in the same way anyway. And it's just awful to think as well that what happened was that Novagen, who Paul Wilkes made, this is Paul Wilkes' baby, right? And Novagen was the company. Novagen were asked to make PC versions, PC version of Damocles. They did so. And then at the last minute, it was canned. And that was the end of Novagen. And that was it. We didn't get any more Mercenary after that. After that catastrophe. And Paul Wilkes, all this time, has been like he always has been, which was to be reclusive. He didn't really want to do interviews. He didn't like to. He didn't like to talk about himself or his games. So there are no real interviews out there. We never really got to ask him, like, what was your plan? Were you always, what do you think about today's shooting in exploring games versus your vision of an exploring game? And I would love to have, known what he thought about it. But then he's so reclusive that we all just found out just last month. I only found out like 2 days ago that he died last year, and no one knew. And it's just kind of sad, really, that I really was looking forward to one day someone cracking Paul Wilkes and getting the answers to what he really thought about his games, what he was planning for. There is evidence out there of what other people have said about Paul, and maybe that'll have to be enough. But for now, as we draw to a close today, we have to dream of interviews that were never made, and dream of worlds that are no longer built. Thank you very much for watching the stream today. Run over time by about 20 minutes, and I hope you enjoyed watching Mercenary via the magic of MDD Clone. Good night.